22nd of June, Rabbi Levitt, Gemora.
Okay. Well, how'd you do that, Phil? Good morning.
Wait, how to do what?
How'd you get in?
Why? Why can't I get in?
Oh, I thought I have to admit you.
Well, you must have admitted me without knowing it.
Oh, that's what I did. Okay.
You must have admitted me and gone on pause because I had a picture of your bird.
Ah, okay. Very good. Okay, so let's go. All right. Okay, so see where are we up to over here? Hashtag Hadar. Hashtag Hadar, right in the middle. Right in the middle of the middle of the middle. Okay, so well,
Where are you now?
we're on Yud Tes Amud base,
Yeah, that I knew.
and yeah, well, this is basically yeah, yeah. Okay, let's just go from Kikatani Babraisa. See how it goes. See if we can figure out anything.
Oh, yeah.
This is about 12 lines from the top. The first word in the line is Mikamaisa.
On page 19, V2, right-hand column, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 paragraphs down.
We didn't get that far. I don't know where you think we would never that far down. So let's try this again.
So where you want to go from?
We were definitely not that far down on your Testament base. We were closer to the top somewhere.
Okay.
I actually was on the previous page, so I agree with him.
Okay, so let's go from. You want to go from Amar of Abba Bar Mamel, Lokasha?
Wait a second. I'm trying to see what that is. I don't see a rabbi. I don't have a single thought to that. Where's it?
That's the last line of Ahmed Aleph.
Oh, line of Ahmed Aleph.
Okay, that's 19A4, the right-hand column, second to the last line.
Right. We did that, but not much past that. We did right. We only did a few lines on the base. So if you want to start there, you could start there. Because Lou wasn't here anyway. On how the tests go, Lou? Your wife?
Oh, thank God. Everything was good.
Good. Okay. So
Hashem.
you can go from that line. Okay.
Okay, so who would like to start up the reading?
Where are we?
Roy.
19A4,
What?
last line on the page.
That's on the page. Apostaki here.
The Gemora answers.
No, oh, right here. Sorry, I turned over 2 pages. More answers. The last line of 9A. 9A. Last line. Right. It's got it now. I've been turning over 2 pages at once. All right. Gemora answers. What was he answering to? Forgotten. The finder should not return to either party. All right. Wheels of a pocket, a pocket key. I wasn't here. All right. This contradicts the minister's implication that if the writer of the document instructs us to give it to the recipient, we may do so. Why is the barrister concerned for fraud and our Mishnah not concerned? Right. So the Gemara answers, Omar Rabbi Abba Mamal Memal Reb Abba Menmal said, Lo Kashya, this is not a difficulty. And now I'm turning over to 19b1. This is not a difficulty. Bikore, this ruling that we do not return the document as the benefactor instructs refers to the gift document of a healthy person. Bishkiv, Morah, while the other ruling that we do return the document as the benefactor instructs refers to the will of a seriously ill person. Then the Gemara goes on to explain why we must be concerned for the possibility of fraud with regard to a gift document, but not with regards to a will. Do I read that?
Let's take a look at the Rashi.
Mm-hmm.
Was there any Rashi on the Amud Aleph to finish or not? Let me see. No. We started on the base. You sort of Babari here with a whatchamacallit here with a healthy person. That's the Rashi you want to start with?
Yeah.
Here's with a healthy person. Shahaya Shtar Matana. Bari was a R of a Matana, of a healthy person. The locativa that it wasn't written in it. Kid the Kanyir. What's the Kanyir?
Kid the Katsir, Barame, Ba'arse.
That's a Katsir? That's a Katsir, not a Kamir? Was that the correction of the Bach to make it Katsir instead?
Katsir. Yeah, it's a tzadi, Katsir. Kid the Katsir,
okay.
Rami Ba'arse.
Rami Ba'arse. That's also what is Katsir. Katsir is to make it shorter. And
Kedain Chikosvin B'Shtari Matanos Shchimera. Kedin Chikosvin B'Shtari Matanos Shchimera.
Okay, this doesn't say okay. Kedin Shekotvin Rice B'Shtar Matanos Shchimera to the Mara. Like it's a shortened form of this.
It seems like over here the word katsir, it's Aramaic. It's not Lashon Kodesh. It means that he's sick and he's sprawled out on his bed. So this is the when it contains those words. So we know that we're talking about a matnas shchiv meira. In English, you would say a deathbed. What do you call it? Gift. Okay, so Rashi just identified how do we know the difference between a star of a bori and a star of a shchiv meira? Because it says in the star of a shchiv meira that he's deathly sick. Okay, fine. Okay, so now we go further. So if you'll ask, why are we concerned about giving back this star, not giving back that star? In the Mishnah, as opposed to the Brisa, the Gemora says no, it's not a kasha because the Brisa is talking about the disposition of a healthy person, and the Mishnah is talking about the gift of a shchiv meira who's on his deathbed. So now the Gemora is going to explain what's behind this answer. What's the understanding of this answer? What's the difference between those two documents? Okay, Lou, you want to do from here? Masnisin diktani.
Masnisin diktani. Our Mishnah, which teaches Ha Amar Kanu, that if the benefactor said, give the document to its designated beneficiaries, notanin, we give it. Bish chiv mare refers to the will of a seriously ill person. A will may be returned to its beneficiary. Davar mihadar hu, because the benefactor can legally retract it, and consequently returning the will does not enable the beneficiary to perpetrate a fraud.
Okay, in other words, how do we understand this? In a deathbed bequest or gift, so he can change his mind. It's a bar mahader who that document is capable of being reneged on in favor of a later document. So therefore, when we ask the person who's deathly ill if we found this document, if he says give it back, give it to the person who I put it down over there as being the benefactor, not the benefactor, the beneficiary. So we listen to him and we give it to him because we're not concerned that there's going to be any fraud, that he's gonna cut out the guy that the deathly ill person originally gave a different document to, deeding the property to that other fellow. Why? Because the deathly ill person is allowed to change his mind. The document is a bar mahader. He can go back on his what?
I was going to ask a question that can we be sure that the second document is the same except for the beneficiaries as the first document? In other words, if he said, I'm going to give you the car and an e-bike for the first document, for the first will, And then for the second will, he says, I'm going to give you an e-bike and a motor scooter, leaving out the car.
So what's the question?
Do they have to be the same?
Well, if it's not the same, so then there's no, so then he's not cutting out the guy anyway. I don't understand the question.
Yeah, all right.
If he has one document that says I'm giving X to Plony, and the second document is I'm giving Y to Almoni, so there's no machlekes about who gets what.
Right. Right. But he can't.
We were talking about the property is it's the same property in the first document as in the next document.
No,
so the Gemora is going to now continue to explain why it is that no fraud could be perpetrated over here. Let's go further in the Gemora. Don Renan.
Do you want me to read or you want to read, Roy?
The Muran, for we say, may Aka, the Mama, what possible defraudment could one speak of? Only the following. Dilma, Kosovo, Ma'akara, Laha. Perhaps the benefactor first wrote this will, bequeathing his property to this person, Imelech, below Yahaba, Nahalai, then reconsidered and did not give it to him. Baharar, Savo, Lunish, Acharina, and afterwards wrote another document in which he granted the property to another person, Nahalai, and he gave him the document. The second person therefore receives the property. Ashta, Hadar, Bay, Mahahu, Dehava, Our concern is that perhaps the benefactor now wishes to retract the gift that he gave to the second person, and therefore he tells us to return the will to the first person. But the will doesn't have to be lost for that, does it?
Doesn't have to be lost.
It doesn't have to be lost, does it? Well,
doesn't have to be lost. No, right.
Well, the first person who's got it, he owns it.
We're not talking about. We're talking about a case where the document was lost, and the issue is: should we give it back to the one that it's made out to? That's the issue that Gemora is talking about. Gemora is not talking about a case where two people have been received a document giving them the same exact property. Not talking about that case. So here the issue is when we find the first star, the benefactor changes his mind from giving the property to Jew number 2, and he wants to give the property instead to Jew number 1. So So when we ask him, does he want us to give the document back to Jew number one? He says, yes, give it back to Jew number one. So, and that document has an earlier date written on it. Okay, so now the Gemara is going to explain why it is that there's no problem in giving back this document. Or 1 second, which case did we say you may give back the document?
If seriously your person asks you to or tells you to.
Okay, so let's read the rest of this Gemara. Now the Gemara is going to explain the dynamics of the matnas shchiv meira. We don't have a concern, so I guess that's the case. We don't mind to give it back. Okay, Louis, you want to take over the reading of the Gemara?
Okay, we're at b'matnas.
Sorry, yeah.
Bari Yahava lay. If he gave the property to the second person by means of a healthy person's gift document, lace lay peseda. The second person will not lose anything as a result of our returning the will to the first, for the following reason. Dechi nafka tarte. When both documents are produced, but raisa zachai, the gift document which is dated last will prevail, and its beneficiary will receive the property. Daha hadar be mika maisa, since its later date proves that the benefactor retracted the earlier will. Thus, the recipient of the property as a gift cannot be defrauded by the return of the will.
Okay, so the facts of the case are that I'm not quite understanding how this works. We're saying the first document was a deathbed disposition, and the second document was a matnas bori, not a deathbed disposition. It was the gift of a bori. So we're saying that there's no problem to give back the will, the shchiv meira, not the shchiv meira, to the first person, because in any case, the second person, he has the superior document because he has the later dated document, and he will be zocha. And we'll say the havhadar be mikamaisa. We'll say that the person, the benefactor, changed his mind from giving it to the first one. That's why he wrote the second one. Okay. Now the Gemara is going to continue. And the point is that since the first document was a matna shchivmera, he had that. I think the point is that shchivmera document is a bar mahader. That's a document that he could change his mind about and decide to give the property to somebody else. So since the first document was a document that he could change his mind about, that's exactly what he did. He gave the property, decided to give the property to Jew number 2. And even though the document that he gave him was a matnas bori, they can't, presumably he can't change his mind on that one. We're not worried to give the first document to Jew number 1, because Jew number 2 he will always be able to prevail against Jew number 1 with his document, since it's dated later, and the later document, the halacha in this case would be that he would prevail. Now the Gemara is going to present a slightly different case. We're going to see the difference between these two documents. Roy, you want to continue?
Okay. Thus, the recipient of the property of the gift cannot be defrauded by the return of the will. Now, the Gemara explores the possibility that the second document was a will. Is that right?
Yeah.
The Shechiv Mara Nami Yebo Nihale, even if he gave the property to the second person by means of a seriously ill person's gift, no undue loss to the second person can result from the return of this will for the following reason. The Vasrei Sa between the two wills, the last prevails, and its beneficiary receives ownership of the property. Dekar Hadar Bay Mikmaye So. Since by implementing a later will, the benefactor retracted the earlier one. And article goes on and says, since by by implementing the later will, the benefactor retracted the earlier one. And he goes on in article, thus the second person will not be unjustly deprived of the property as a result of our returning this will. Accordingly, the Mishnah rules that we may return a lost will to his designated beneficiary if the benefactor tells us to do so.
That'll be in the case of a matnas chimera, of a deathbed gift. Okay.
The Gemara now goes on to explain why the Brisa does not.
I wonder if we can wrap it up at this point.
Okay, Phil, want to read some Rashi?
Let's see what we're up to, okay?
The Bar Mahadarhu, second Rashi on the page.
The Bar Machaderhu, the Bar Machader, he's a guy who could return it. Sheikhol Lazar, he can return. the to his gift. Im katav shnei shtaros. So he wrote two wills. The second one is the one that trumps the one. Not using that word because of him, but that merits out. Shahare chazer bo mirishon, because the first one's retracted. So once he writes the second one, the first one becomes useless. It's a retraction of the first one by writing the second one.
Okay, now this is specifically if the first one that he wrote was a matne shchimera.
Right. Okay.
In that case, whatever the second document is, the second document is going to be protected because he can always since the first one was a shchimera, he can always be choser from that and give a different give the gift of the same property, change his mind, give the same property to somebody else.
And then it says iba matnas bari, but if it's a gift to a healthy person, yahava nihilo ya. That means he nehela. He should give it to him.
He matnas bari, give it to him, right?
He gives it to him, and then it says batra lahu batra, because he's the later one.
Right, to the Jew number 2.
And the reason it says is because Lace Lake say that there's no loss in that. He wouldn't have a loss. Bishtara with a star, tikadva, that's written, hashda now, deman, the kadim, the one who precedes it, stara, his star, zachar. Okay. And I'm not sure, and this bay is here. There's a bay on, no, I left it right, I left the place. No.
Because of Shnei Stars, Hasheni Zocha Sherei Chozer Bo Mirishon.
Bay, because it's just a Dayan who Kayam, it still exists. I'll give it to this one to him.
Which Rashi you reading from, Phil?
The right after that, the Bay.
Bay?
Shaddai who came, that it still exists.
Oh.
Give it to this one.
Or are you over there? Finish off, read the base, to say that. Oh, the Inish Achrina is the next Gemora.
Okay.
Okay. Sounds very familiar, but I see that lashon of Inish Achrina, that's already in the Gemara we didn't see yet. Okay, so basically, what do we have over here? We've got that the Gemara is saying, look, as long as the first document is a Shchiv Meirah, so whether the second document is a Matnas Bori, whether it's also a Matnas Shchiv Meirah, in either case, there's not going to be a loss, there's not going to be a possibility of fraud over here, because the second Jew number 2 is always going to win over here. Because this that he wrote a Shchiv Meirah, that allows him to be choser from it, from the first document. And so we'll always assume that he wrote the second document because he wanted to give it to Jew number 2 instead of Jew number 1, and he has the ability to change his mind. So this that we're going to give the first document, the earlier document, we're going to give it back to Jew number 1. It's not going to cause any loss to Jew number 2. Jew number 2, it's clear that he's going to be entitled, and there's no way for Jew number 1 with an earlier dated document to rip off the Jew number 2. Okay, so we just got up to the place that I said we should start from today.
Okay.
Very good. Okay, we're getting there. We're making progress.
Amen.
Thank you.
Okay. Take care. Stay safe, everybody.
Have a great day.
Amen.
Dir time. Hashem protect us. all.
Shomer Yisrael.